Where do I take this pain of mine?
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'll be telling you about one of my main heroes in music, James Hetfield. He's the frontman of Metallica. He's the vocalist, and he also plays the rhythm guitar parts for them. Noting that when he started out, he never really intended to be the vocalist, and only began to accept the role on the band's third studio album, Master of Puppets. This led to Hetfield developing his vocal technique over the next 30 plus years, where it is today. As well as his vocal growth, however, Hetfield is known for his ability to write driving guitar riffs that usually have a large emphasis on the technique of downpicking. Let me explain.
A brief little summary.
What's downpicking?
So, what is downpicking? Simple answer is that downpicking is just strumming downwards on your guitar. Obviously, it's very oversimplified there. Earlier examples of the technique comes from rock songs like Johnny B. Good, You Really Got Me, Easy Rider, Paranoid, etc. Downpicking is an incredible technique for making a more percussive and striking sound, and it can often act as a sort of pedal tone when used in the right riffs. For a more detailed explanation, let's explore how downpicking is used in some of the riffs that Hetfield has written, the effect it gives, how to perform the technique, and how it fares versus alternate picking. The very first example any metal fan will point to when talking about Metallica's discography and downpicking is Master of Puppets. The very first example any metal fan will point to when talking about Metallica's discography and downpicking is Master of Puppets. To cut down a very long-winded explanation, just for the interest of time, as well as extra examples, I'm going to only do a brief overview of how the technique is used and what other techniques are used in conjunction with downpicking. So the song kind of starts off with a bit of a gut punch. The initial riff is a descending chromatic pattern, all downpicked with palm mutes on the open strum. The entire song's riffing is done with downpicking, where the only alternate picking actually meant to be done in the song is generally played in the melodic solo section. So, I'll show examples of the main riff. So, this is the main riff. It comes after the opening riff, so it is different. So yes, at 210 BPM, this is the main riff. So, as you can see, it's fairly attack heavy, and you can hear the tightness in it. So, the particular reason why the song opts into the use of downpicking and palm muting is because downpicking is an effective way to get that very tight, rigid sound, this percussive feel, while maintaining the speed. It's an incredible technique when developed. Riff played with alternate picking. Here we go. As you can see, Kevin's wrist has to bounce a lot more than it normally would in order to get the alternate picking pattern down correctly while also being able to mute the open. That, in conjunction with the right hand, with the striking motion, that in conjunction with the upstrokes, occasionally hitting the wrong strings, no matter how consistent you try and be, it will happen just because that is the nature of alternate pick. As you can see, the tone was a little less consistent and it sounded looser. It wasn't so much sloppy, but it was definitely a lot looser than it normally would be. This riff is one of the main things that kind of got me into wanting to play metal a bit more intensely than I used to. Therefore, looking up to James Hetfield. The main idea is that you want to get a very tight grip on the pick, and you don't want to move your wrist too much. Reason why is because the more your wrist moves, the more it has to travel back. So, in the effort of increasing your speed, you need to keep it fairly close to what you want to be doing anyway. Why did I pick James Hetfield in particular? Well, to be completely honest, I couldn't think of anybody more fitting. A lot of his techniques often inspire me to become a stronger rhythm guitarist, as my learning method for guitar when I started out resulted in a rather stunted growth. I never learned how to properly play melodically, and my knowledge of scales and improv were never really developed. I look up to Hetfield because his ability to write these riffs and his unique way of telling a story with his songwriting continually inspires me to improve on my techniques like downpicking, and he encourages me to improve my musical stamina too.
Never free, never me. So I dub the unforgiven.
I'm inspired by more than just his guitar play. Over the years, Hetfield's vocal prowess has developed and aged like fine whiskey, and it also heeds a slight warning to younger vocalists who haven't quite developed the strength in their vocals. Early Metallica vocals were rather high-pitched, less like singing, and a bit more like a raspy shrieking. It fit well with the aesthetics of the music at the time, as the focus was more on the blistering solos and the driving riffs. Over time, however, it started to negatively impact Hetfield, and the exhaustion related towards this singing style almost made him lose his voice entirely. Thus, And Justice for All and the subsequent albums showed a progression of his vocals, opting for a more melodic growth of these. The most notable performances from each album, for me personally, are one from And Justice for All.
I can't remember anything. Can't tell if this is true or dream. Deep down inside I feel the scream. This terrible silence stops in there. Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up, I cannot see that there's not much left of me. Nothing is real but pain now.
And The Unforgiven from the Black Album.
What I felt, what I've known, never shine, doing what I've shown. Never be, never see, won't see what might have been.
There were, however, early signs of Hetfield's transition to more melodic vocals. They can be seen on Ride the Lightning, with songs like Fade to Black,
Life it seems to fade away, drifting further every day, getting lost within myself. Nothing matters, no one else.
and Fight Fire with Fire. However, this development would reach its peak in the mid-90s during the Load and Reload album, where stylistically, Metallica began to experiment more outside of just being thrash metal. The reason I bring this up is because of certain songs like Bleeding Me, Until It Sleeps, The Outlaw Torn from Load, and King Nothing, The Unforgiven 2, and The Memory Remains from Reload. And it allows Hetfield's voice to begin to shine more and more. These 6 songs will now have examples played of them.
It's open if you're true. If you can understand the me, then I can understand the you.
As demonstrated in this video, James Hetfield is my musical hero because he signifies the kind of musician that I intend to be. His growth in not just guitar playing, but also in his musical style, is what I kind of look to achieve over a long life with music. Also, his love for music has never stopped and it's always kept going, which is what inspires me just about him. Thank you for watching.